everyone, this is Heather. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a tutorial for you showing you how I made this pretty mermaid card. It's got some nice shimmer on it, and today I'm using a stamp from the Some Odd Girl stamps, and this is Under the Sea May. And this is the stamp that we're going to use today, and these are the words. There's also another really cute mermaid, a narwhal, a seahorse, some waves, a shell, some other words. They have really pretty fantasy stamps. They also have some really great fairy stamps. So this again is from Some Odd Girl. Then I'm also using a sun stamp from Amuse Studio, and to be honest, I am not 100% sure if this stamp set is still available, but any kind of a large sun or sunburst that you have will work. Then I'm also using a embossing folder from Cuttlebug. I honestly don't know the name of this one, but it's kind of like clouds or waves or scales, and I thought it worked really well with the card that we're doing. So what you're going to need is just a white card base. I just took a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock and cut it in half. Then you're going to need a piece of blue cardstock that is cut to 4 by 2.5 inches, and I am using white core cardstock. This came from Close to My Heart, but there's a lot of companies that make it. You don't have to use the white core cardstock, but that's going to give us this nice white showing through on the waves, but you don't have to have that. And then just a piece that's big enough to stamp your image onto. And I did use a heavier weight cardstock. I think this is maybe 110 pounds, which I like to do if I'm using like glitter glue or anything that's really thick that could possibly warp the paper. And I'm using two different Stickles. So this is just the kind of clear icicle Stickles, and this is Distress Stickles from Tim Holtz, and this is the Faded Jeans color. Again, if you just have loose glitter, you could do that. You could also leave it off, but I just love the sparkle that it adds, especially for mermaids. I think that adds a lot. And then you're also going to need a coloring medium. I'm using some alcohol-based markers, yellow and black ink, and some adhesive and some sandpaper or a sanding block. So let's get started. So I've already folded my cardstock in half, and I've got my larger piece of heavier weight cardstock, and I'm going to ink up my mermaid stamp here. And for larger stamps, I usually like to lay them with the image up on the table and ink them up that way. It's a little bit easier to get some ink on there. And we're gonna cut her out so it doesn't need to be centered. So I'm gonna get a good press on that since it's a large stamp. And that looks pretty good. And I'm just using Memento ink because I am using alcohol-based markers. Just using that in the black. And then while I've got the black ink out, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the words. Sorry, I'm just tapping that in the upper right hand corner directly on the card base. Like that. And we'll set the black ink aside. We're done with that. I'm going to grab this really pretty yellow ink from Close to My Heart. It's called Sunflower. And I'm going to ink up the sun. So this is just a pretty large kind of sunburst stamp. Make sure I got plenty of ink on there. And we're gonna stamp that in the upper left-hand corner of our card, trying not to cover up the words. Sorry if I'm shaking the table here. Okay, so we've got our sun and our words stamped on the cardstock base, and we'll go ahead and set that aside, and we're done with our inks and our stamping. And now we're going to use the embossing folder. So all you do is open up the folder and place your cardstock inside, and this is about the same width. The 4 inches is about the same width as the pattern, and I've kind of got it up towards the fold here, but wherever you want to place it on there. And for this purpose, there's no up or down or right or wrong. You just want to fold your folder in half, and then I'm going to bring my die cut machine over, and I'm going to sandwich that in between my plates, and this is my thinner plate, and I'm going to run that through my die cut machine and run it back through just for good measure. Sorry, my table is so wobbly that this is really making my table wobbly. So I'm going to set my die cut machine off to the side, separate my plates here, and open up my folder. And now I've got a piece of blue cardstock embossed. And if you just have plain blue cardstock, that's going to be fine, but I like this white core because you can sand on it and expose some of that white. So I'm just taking a very well loved used sanding block and running that over the side of the embossing that is more raised than the other side. So you can take off as much as you want, expose as much of the white underneath as you want, but I just love the texture that that adds. And just, you're gonna have a little bit of powder there. So isn't that cool? That's what the back side looks like. So this is the side that has a little bit more of a raised edge to it. And we're gonna set that to the side. And we're gonna go back to our adorable mermaid and color her. So the Stickles is kind of a combination of glue and glitter. Most of the time the glue kind of dries, even on the Distress Stickles, it dries pretty clear. So I still like to put a base of color down first, even though I'm applying a colored glitter glue over the top. So I'm just using a kind of a medium blue alcohol-based marker, and I am going to go ahead and add color to the tail even though we're adding that glitter glue over the top, just so that color can kind of show through. And as always, I'm doing this a little bit quicker than I normally would, but you can take your time. And you could, you know, obviously do any coloring medium that you want. The glitter glue will go over anything. You could put it over top of watercolors. It might smear just a little bit, but if you don't rub it in too much, it should be okay. Go great over colored pencils, any type of markers that you want. So I'm just giving her kind of a pretty blue tail. And I'm going to keep that because I'm using that for her hair. And then I'm using kind of a medium skin tone. I wanted her to have a really kind of beachy look. So her skin tone is kind of a very pretty tan color. And I'm just going to fill in this pretty skin tone, making sure I don't color her bikini top there. Alright, so just added a nice skin tone all over, and if you wanted to do some extra shading or anything, you could do that as well. And now I'm taking a pink color because the skin tone is a little bit of a darker color. I'm using a really bright pink so that it will show up on the flesh tone. So I'm just adding some pink to her cheeks. Then I also wanted the shell and her bikini top to be that same pink color. I'm just going to color in the shell and her top. And I just realized that I missed her ear. Her little ear is right there beside the shell. It kind of looks like part of her hair, but she actually has a cute little pointy, almost elf ear. So we'll get that colored in. And now I'm going to grab the blue back again, and I've got two different shades of purples. One's kind of a pale and the other one's kind of a brighter medium purple, and I wanted to sort of replicate that cool trendy hair design that a lot of girls are showing up. You'll see it a lot on Instagram nowadays. That's sort of this purple and blue blended hair color, and they call it mermaid hair. So I thought that would be perfect to do for the mermaid. So one of the things I really like about these Some Odd Girls stamps is the girl's hair is already sort of in sections. It's sort of drawn out in sections. So it makes it really nice for shading, blending, or adding different colors. So you just kind of pick a couple of the sections of hair and add a little bit of, I just started out with the blue first. So just picked a few sections. It's the same color as the tail. And then also while I have this blue, I want to add some blue to her eyes. Just kind of make her eyes really pop there. And now I'm going to go in with the darker purple. And again, just sort of follow along those hair sections. And be sure to leave a few for your third color. And if you overlap, that's totally fine. Some of the colors will blend together and some of them will just kind of cover up the others. And a little bit up here. And maybe a little bit over here. Just to leave enough so I can add this final pale purple color. Kind of everywhere that doesn't have any color now for the third color, I'm just going to kind of fill that in. And it just kind of makes for that fun, trendy mermaid hair. Alright, so I'm happy with that. That's really pretty. And now I'm going to take my scissors and just simply cut her out. I left a little bit of a border of white around the edge. And take your time because there is a lot of details with the fins and her hair and everything. And so I'm actually going to stop the camera so you don't have to sit here and watch me cut her out. So I'm going to cut her out real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, and I'm back, and I've just taken my scissors and cut her out. Like I said, just leaving just a little bit of a white edge around her. And now we're going to assemble the card. So I'm going to turn over the piece that I embossed and add some adhesive and adhere that to the bottom of my card, and this will leave just a little bit of a white edge. So there's that. And then on the back of her, I'm going to add some foam squares. And because I'm using the Stickles, I want to make sure that she's really well supported. I'm actually going to cut one of these in half just so that she doesn't warp, especially where the Stickles are going to be. So I've added quite a bit of foam tape on the back there. Take all that backing paper off. And now we're going to adhere her to the card so she's kind of coming up out of the water there. So she looks like that. And you can leave her like that, that's really pretty, but I just love the touch that the Stickles adds. So I'm gonna shake down the Stickles and I'm gonna start with the blue. And the way I like to apply it is just to kind of squeeze out a small blob and use the tip, the nozzle tip on the applicator to kind of spread the glue around. You could also use your fingers or a paintbrush if you'd like. Just kind of fill that in. You just want kind of an even layer. Try not to run your hand through it while it's wet. Just sort of spread that all over her tail. And when it dries, you'll get that pretty kind of chunky blue glitter. So that looks good. And then I'm going to grab the clear and add some to the shell just to give it some pretty sparkle there. Okay, and that's our card. So that's our mermaid with mermaid hair card using mermaid stamp from Some Odd Girl, an embossing folder, and some Stickles glitter glue. I think she's really cute, and you could, whatever supplies that you have at home, if you have just some wave pattern paper, you could do that, just plain blue. This would work with any kind of a nautical theme that you have. It doesn't have to be a mermaid. So just wanted to share this fun card with you. Sorry for the interruption, but while I was editing this video, I realized I left out a step and I forgot to cut the ridges on the waves of the card. So I just thought I'd pop in here real quick, and all I did was just follow the lines of the embossing folder that are already there, just to give it a little bit more of a wave pattern. I'm just taking my scissors and leaving that embossed line and cutting that out. So sorry for this awkward edit, but I did want to add how I did that. So I just took the scissors, cut that out, and place that back down on there, and we'll put our cute mermaid back. So that's how it should look, and I apologize for leaving that off. So just a quick edit here to let you know that I did cut the edge off of the waves. Really appreciate you joining me today. If you want to check out my channel, I have lots of other videos and tutorials on there, and I really appreciate you joining me today. Have a fun-filled, splashy day. This is Heather. Bye.